Good morning and welcome back to Plaas TV. The biggest agrochemical solution provider in South Africa, AECI Plant Health, kicks off the first episode in their Plaas TV series. Today, we chat to Quintin Cross about their services to the agricultural community. We then look at an interesting insert about underutilized and Indigenous crops that are being researched at the University of Stellenbosch. But first, let's see what's happening in the news.
Welkom by die nuus. Volgens die nuutste data van die Nasionale Oeskattingskomitee staan die grootte van die verwagte kommersiële mielieoes nou op 15,42 miljoen ton. Dit is meer as 100,000 ton minder as die vorige skatting, maar steeds 37% groter as 2019 se oes. Die skatting van die oppervlakte onder mielies is tans 2,6 miljoen hektar. Die verwagte produksie vir koring is opwaarts aangepas tot 2 miljoen ton. En volgens Statistiek Suid-Afrika se kwartaallikse arbeidsmagopname het 2,2 miljoen poste in die tweede kwartaal van 2020 in Suid-Afrika verlore gegaan. Ongeveer 66,000 daarvan was in die landbousektor. Dit toon op 'n daling van 7,6% in vergelyking met die eerste kwartaal en 'n afname van 5,1% op 'n jaargrondslag gemeet. En 'n gehoute Ruby Cabernet van Batsberg in die Brede Kloof is van dese week as die Suid-Afrikaanse kampioen jongwyn vir 2020 aangewys. Die wyn is ook as die beste inskrywing in die ander rooi kultivar kategorie bekroon. Dis die derde keer dat Batsberg as algehele wenner met die Generaal Smuts trofee wegstap. In die kompetisie se 188ste jarige bestaan is dit slegs die tweede keer dat 'n Ruby Cabernet met die lauwere wegstap. En dis dan vandag se nuus, maar bly met ons.
Simparica by Zuyetis, your best friend's best friend. AECI Plant Health, unlocking nature's potential.
Welcome to our first discussion with AECI. Today we will find out exactly who they are and what they can do for you as a producer. I'd like to welcome Quintin Cross. Quintin, yes, perhaps we should start right in the beginning. Where exactly or who exactly is AECI? Where do you fit in?
Thank you. Yeah, well, I think many of our partners and suppliers know us as Newlanders. But we've recently changed our name to AECI. We've been with AECI for about 20 years, and there's been a strategic move with the business to try and get us all under one brand, one culture, and I think that's for us a very good thing, so that we can actually leverage the benefits of each of the businesses. We've got water, we've got agri, we've got mining, and food and beverage, and some of the chemicals, and I think there's good synergies amongst those businesses.
So as an organization, what purpose do you serve?
Well, for me, a purpose isn't just about a slogan or a byline. You've got to live that every single day. And for us, it's around focusing on what matters most to growers, trying to understand their needs and ambitions, and then of course we try and integrate that into enhancing agricultural performance. We try and do it by unlocking nature's potential, looking after the environment. We try and find holistic solutions for farmers. And at the end of the day, we're trying to answer the consumer's call towards food that is accessible, nutritious, and of course, safe.
And how do you go about fulfilling that purpose?
Well, it's about being at the doorstep of the farmer, pre, post, and during the season. And we get this right by having about 184 crop advisors who are quite specialized and qualified, providing the advice to the farmers, hand-holding them. We've also got a whole bunch of technical advisors that support the crop advisors, product specific, water, soil, and various other aspects, the complexities that the farmer faces. And we back that up then with a range of products. Now, the range of products are predominantly third-party products, but we've also got our own proprietary products. And, you know, we've got some wonderful suppliers that combine with us, provide the necessary support, and at the end of the day, you're providing this holistic solution to the grower. And then finally, we back that all up with some digital technologies.
What are your goals for AECI Plant Health?
Well, I think we want to continue to find solutions for the problems that our farmers face. That's the most important challenge that we have, and we've got to utilize the technologies that are continuously being introduced. We've got to continue developing new products, the new digital capabilities, and I think our aspirations are to try and access more of the national market, expand our footprint into Africa, and then of course we've also got some very interesting niche products that we are expanding globally. And then, you know, finally to leverage the capabilities of the group in terms of enterprise development and corporate social investment, because you know, part of the AECI group, I think they've spent quite a lot of money and been quite successful in those initiatives, and I think that can serve the communities and also serve the emerging market, which I think is a growing market in this country, and I think we've got a responsibility to respond to it.
Well, that was a good introduction to AECI, and our thanks to Quintin Cross. Quintin, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, next time when we will be talking to AECI, we'll be focusing on semiochemistry. We'll be telling you all about that, so don't miss our next episode on AECI.
AECI Plant Health, unlocking nature's potential.
Goeiemôre kykers, in vandag se termynmarkverslag kan nog gesien word dat rooi vleiskarkaspryse verlede week redelik sywaarts beweeg het, behalwe vir C2 skaapkarkasse wat gedaal het met 1.7%. Speen, kalf en lampryse het egter sterk gestyg met 4.9 en 5.5% onderskeidelik, en hierdie stygings word ook geregverdig deur die verkoopprys van abattoir van karkasse wat gestyg het, en ons voorsien dat die karkaspryse vir A2 beeskarkasse sowel as A2 lamkarkasse die volgende week weer kan styg. Terme van wol en bokkar het die veilings goed gedoen die week met stygings van 6.2 en 5.9%. Indien jy die wisselkoers daar gaan aftrek, het die markte met ongeveer 2.5 tot 2.7% gestyg vanaf die vorige veiling. Grane aanbetref het geelmielies en koring effens pak gekry die week, terwyl sonneblom ook swaar getrek het en af is met 4.6% op die rug van laer internasionale pryse. Wisselkoerse het week op week het die rand met 2.7% versterk teenoor die dollar en met 2.1% versterk teenoor die euro.
NutriFeeds, die formule vir sukses.
The Plaas TV team visited Ethel Phiri from Stellenbosch University to chat to her about something we rarely get a chance to focus on: underutilized and indigenous crops. Let's hear what she has to say about her research on these wonderful plants.
I grow a lot of indigenous crops. I have sorghum, finger millet, teff, cassava, sour gourd, which is what's right here behind me. There are a variety of different crops that I currently don't have, but I have the seeds of. And those include cowpea, even bambara groundnuts, which is a legume that is different from other beans in that it grows underground, similar to peanuts. I've also done research on moringa, so I've also grown moringa here at the farm as well. Okay, so the reason why I'm researching indigenous and neglected crops is that they are pretty much neglected. There is no research on them. The work that is currently being done globally is on 3 major crops, which include maize, rice, and wheat. And those actually make up about 60% of the global carbohydrate intake. I mean, there are about 10,000 plant species that are edible, and if you look at it, about 200 are commercial. And some data says that if you eat 12 different plant species, then you're eating quite a lot. So there's a variety of plants and crops that we are not eating. Our research is pretty much focused on wheat, for example, if I can make wheat an example. You know, we are modifying it so that it can sustain the continent's temperatures or the changes in climate, whereas we've got our own grains. People complain about gluten. Teff is a gluten-free grain that is used in Africa. It's adapted for the climate. So why not look into the crops that grow on the continent, considering that in 2050 or so, as it's been predicted, that we're going to need a lot more food than we can currently produce. So we've got the land. It's bad soil, but it's also good for our own crops on the continent.
Standard Bank, voluit vorentoe.
Let's continue our focus on underutilized and indigenous crop research at Stellenbosch University.
The challenges that I face when growing indigenous crops is that there's very limited information on how to grow them. So, for example, I have a crop that's similar to tomatoes, and it belongs to the tomato family. So you would then think, okay, this is where I start. Let's see what the guidelines are for tomatoes, and then I will grow the crop using those guidelines. And then experimentations, using different fertilizer regimes and things like that. But the biggest challenge for me and indigenous farmers is that there's very little belief in going for alternative crops, especially entering the commercial market. So you find that the market for them, there's a lot of resistance, not from the people as such, but actually from the commercial side, because it's not known, so they're not willing to give it a try. Which is interesting for me because in many countries, in Europe specifically, people tend to embrace such different crops, even though they don't belong in Europe. And here in South Africa, you'll find that some of the crops, you'll find them at Woolies or Faithful to Nature, all those shops where certain people go. But you don't find them at Pick n Pay or Spar. My research is in line with global standards in that I'm trying to follow the way that indigenous and subsistence farmers are farming. So they've always farmed organic. But the problem with pests and diseases is something that they've obviously not been able to overcome. So with what I'm doing, not only am I growing the crops, but I'm also trying to find alternative ways, alternative and cheap ways to control pests and diseases. So that when I report back to the farmers, I can tell them that, oh, you can use Artemisia or something like that to control aphids or to control ants. There are many people that are also struggling to get into the market in the commercial sense that are producing organic fertilizers and organic sprays for insects. But the big companies are sort of preventing them from coming in. So in partnership with them and what I'm doing, then we can kind of work together to sort of meet the global standards. And what it means is that when the farmers actually have their crops, they can actually say that they did produce them organically. And you know, they can immediately go for their organic certification if they eventually get into the export market.
Ethel, grow more with less.
Vertoon u diere tekens van swak groei en diarree. Baie plase word geraak deur ongediagnoseerde diere wat koksidia het. By Cox 5% is 'n koksidiosid, een dosis op 'n jong ouderdom, help met lewenslange immuniteit teen koksidia, wat verbeterde groei en vroeë bevrugting aanhelp. Anders as antibiotika, maak by Cox 5% die intrasellulêre stadiums van die parasiet dood en bevorder die ontwikkeling van natuurlike immuniteit. Voorkom, beskerm, profyt met by Cox 5%. Beskikbaar by u dieregesondheidsverskaffer of vra u beheeragent.
Maak seker jy loop nie maandag se episode van Plaas TV mis nie, wanneer Dr. Gadi Prinsloo van die Landbou Navorsingsraad meer lig werp op hul navorsing om vals komandowurm uitbrekings in Suid-Afrika te beheer. Tot dan, geniet jou naweek en veilig wees.